Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Chiefs win. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Great, excited to be back in the week.
You know, every day I got the Three Stooges in the studio with me is a good fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So let's make sure he gets that bag.
Frauds! Frauds! Woo!
Justin's way ahead in picks. That's all that you need to fucking know.
Show's over.
Show's over. We're going home.
I would like to welcome you back to another page of the Playbook Sports Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? We're just going to pick right back up in the 2020 NFL Draft grades, and we are at pick number 17. And with this pick made me really sad because I really wanted this guy to fall one more spot to Miami. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma, goes to Dallas. I'm giving that an A-. And I'll explain why it's not an A, only because by who went after him, which I'll get to as we move on. But an A-, 260 receptions in 3 seasons, 3,396 yards, basically 3,400 yards and 20 touchdowns. He's the clear number 1 on Dallas, has played fantastic for them. He's probably the reason why they felt comfortable letting Amari Cooper go, because we got this kid CeeDee Lamb who's an absolute stud. Big fan of CeeDee Lamb, big fan of the way he snatched his phone out of his girl's hands on draft night too. That was hilarious. Pick 18, the Miami Dolphins select Austin Jackson, offensive tackle out of USC. That is a D, my friends, and it's only not an F because the other tackles taken in this class were also terrible after Austin Jackson. So it's not even like, we missed on a generational tackle from the second round, because there just weren't. There's another first-round tackle taken a little bit further down the board here, which I'll talk about in a bit. But Austin Jackson himself as a player has been absolute garbage, a complete dumpster fire. PFF, take PFF's rankings for however you'd like to, but he's the 133rd ranked offensive tackle the last 3 seasons. They have a wins above replacement stat, which I like, a good old WAR stat, typically a baseball thing, but they have it for football. Yeah, it's negative for him, negative 0.23. So he is 0 wins above replacement. He is replacement value, which is ranked 214th out of 233rd. Terrible pick here. I wanted Jonathan Taylor, but no, I don't get what I want. And so instead we go get Austin Jackson, who was young and is still young, and we're just going to keep throwing him out there until it hits, and it makes me sad because he's going to keep getting these chances because he was a first-round pick and he shouldn't have been. Next up, pick number 19, the Las Vegas Raiders, along with their pedigree for a fantastic draft class and just how they crush the draft, guys. If you get drafted by the Raiders, I'm so sorry. It's probably not going to work out for you. Damon Arnett at pick 19, cornerback out of Ohio State. That's a big fat F, ladies and gentlemen. In 2 seasons, he played a total of 13 games. Then he decided to flash a gun online, got released by the Raiders. Dolphins picked him up, never saw the field of the Dolphins. Dolphins cut him pretty much immediately. Kansas City signed him to a futures contract. Then he was arrested. And he's been out of the league ever since. Not a whole lot to say about that one. Another just absolute home run pick by the Raiders here, who crushed this first round. Pick number 20, Jacksonville goes with K'Lavon Chaisson, defensive end out of LSU. That's a D. He's only played 109 snaps this past season. He has 3 total sacks in 40 games as an edge rusher, and they just drafted a guy number 1 overall in Travon Walker to replace him. And they've also got Josh Allen on that defensive line. Every single season, Chaisson's snap count has dropped, and it's going to continue to drop from 109, which is like 2 games worth. And he's just not going to see the field for them. They have better pass rushers all over the place, and they continue to invest heavily in the defensive line. He is just not a part of their plans. Pick number 21, Philadelphia Eagles select wide receiver just kidding. They select Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU. I have written next to this one a big fat LOL F. Sorry, Jalen Reagor. I feel bad for you because it's who was taken after you. Jalen Reagor in 3 seasons has 800 total yards, which is a okay season, not seasons, and along with 4 touchdowns. They've traded him to Minnesota, which is ironic. Total bust, unfortunately, at least in Philadelphia. Maybe he can turn it around. I'm hoping, because he's just hated on because of pick number 22 to the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson. This is an A+ with all the pluses you can put after it that's legally allowed. You could argue he's the best wide receiver in the league. I don't think many people will argue with you on that. And I'm as big of a Tyreek Hill fan as they are, considering he plays for my team. But Justin Jefferson is a do-it-all receiver. I don't care if you cover him with two guys. He's going to catch the ball. Like the catch against Buffalo, that one-handed grab where he just went up and snagged that. This guy's insane. Minnesota may not be that great. And he's done all this with Kirk Cousins, too. Not a slight at Kirk Cousins, but it's not like he's playing with some world-beating wide receiver or quarterback. Imagine if he had the top quarterback, he would go for 2,000. He'd go for the record, in my opinion. And he's already the best receiver in the league, and he's going to be the focal point of that offense for years. That's their guy that they will not let go anytime soon. Pick number 23, the Los Angeles Chargers go with off-ball linebacker Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. I give this one a C grade. He's been pretty underutilized in 3 seasons, only 135 total tackles, but the Chargers did just let 2 of their offensive linemen walk in Kaiser White, and the other one that they let walk, I'll tell you in just a hot second here, Drew Tranquill. They let both of them walk for basically nothing these last 2 seasons, which makes me think that Murray's going to be the guy going forward, so I'm hoping to see a jump in his production with that because, it's almost an incomplete right now with a C. Pick number 24, the New Orleans Saints go with Cesar Ruiz, center out of Michigan. This one's a C- for me. He hasn't been a top center. He definitely hasn't played like a first-round center, and centers taken after him recently. Creed Humphrey has been one of the best centers in the league. Tyler Biadasz with the Dallas Cowboys was taken in the 4th round of this draft, and he is definitely better than Cesar Ruiz. He's rated out as the 90th interior offensive lineman, 228th in wins above replacement. Like I said, he hasn't been exactly a liability, but for interior offensive linemen, when you draft them, you expect their floor to be high. Maybe not a flashy pick, but you expect guards and centers to come into the league ready to go. And he just hasn't. He not a whole lot to say about him, really, hence the C- grade, but yeah. Moving on, pick number 25. The San Francisco 49ers select wide receiver Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. I'm giving this one a B. He's really turned it on. Maybe a lackluster rookie season, but these last 2 seasons, he's really played solid. I've been impressed with his continued development over there, and can't hate on this pick with the other wide receivers who are on the board. But this past season, he played all 17 games, had 78 catches, broke 1,000 yards, and had 8 touchdowns. He's got 194 total receptions in his career with 2,600 yards and 18 touchdowns. It's not sparkling, but he's gotten better every single year. His first year, 60 catches for 750. Next year, 56 catches, but for 826. And then this past season, really his best season by far, 78 for 10-15 and 8 touchdowns. You like to see those numbers continuing to go up, and he'll continue to be a big part of that offense going forward, regardless of who's playing the quarterback position. Next pick here, we have the Green Bay Packers actually traded up with the Miami Dolphins for this pick to select Aaron Rodgers a weapon, right? That had to have been the plan. No, just kidding. To select his successor, Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. This one's a C. Like I said in my last video when I graded the first 16 picks, if it's incomplete or if I can't exactly grade it, it's a C. Now, I could argue that it's an F pick, because they used the 26th pick in the NFL draft to select a quarterback who just hasn't played for them because they haven't needed him to play. I understand drafting for the future is a thing, absolutely. But man, a first-round pick on somebody, and they traded up for him too. Let's not forget that. These teams down the board, not many of them were in the market for QBs at this time. Just looking at it, Seattle was set, Baltimore, Tennessee, obviously Miami took a quarterback earlier in this draft. Minnesota and Kansas City all had quarterbacks, and Green Bay felt the need to jump up and take this kid to sit him for the last 3 seasons. He's only played 10 games in his career. He's only thrown 606 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. He hasn't done anything, so I can't grade him with a straight face. If I was grading him on the talent, maybe he's talented. I don't know. I haven't seen him play in the NFL more than a few times, so we need to see more from him before you can really give him a grade. Honestly, I would even just give this one a big ol' incomplete, because he hasn't played much at all. But I'm interested to see what they do. Obviously, they must think highly of him because they're more than willing to let Aaron Rodgers walk, which is just crazy to me. But they think this could be the guy. And, for Packers fans, I hope you're right, and maybe you can just go for your 3rd straight Hall of Fame quarterback. But history would tell you that that's not likely. Nobody gets that lucky. But who knows? Maybe he'll be great. Next up, pick number 27, the Seattle Seahawks go with Jordan Brooks, a linebacker out of Texas Tech. I'm giving this one a B. This past season, he really kind of put it all together, had a really good season, had a total of 61 defensive stops, which I believe was 6th in the NFL, so that's very solid. In 3 seasons, he's got 247 total tackles, which is fantastic. The big knocks against him right now are the fact that he tore his ACL in January, so he's going to definitely be missing probably the beginning of this upcoming season. And that they just brought back Bobby Wagner, which was interesting to me. Brought him back for a season right after he just left to go to the Rams, which is hilarious that about a year ago, a little over a year ago now, he signed a 5-year deal. Bobby Wagner did 5-year, $50 million with the Rams, and he's already gone back in Seattle. But Jordan Brooks is young. He's 25 years old currently. He's been a little better every single season. He's definitely been the captain of that defense. Hopefully him and Bobby Wagner can kind of work together, which they obviously did for the first 2 years of his career. And he can continue to develop while Bobby Wagner comes back and gets a proper send-off for a proper team. Pick number 28, Baltimore Ravens select Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. This one I kind of played between an A- and a B+. Ultimately, I settled on a B+ because they felt like they needed to go get Roquan Smith and pay him $20 million a season to essentially do what Patrick Queen does. Now, Patrick Queen has been fantastic. He's the defensive captain over there. Out of 51 possible games these past 3 seasons, he has played in 50 of them. And the only other one he didn't play in was just because they didn't start him, I want to say, the first game of his rookie season. He started all 50 of his games that he's played. He's got 321 total tackles in these past 3 seasons. He's been fantastic. Really, the only knock against him is that they felt the need to go out and trade for someone else and get Roquan Smith, who was a great trade, fantastic player, but they are very similar styles, and if they work together, great. You have the best middle linebacker, interior linebacker duo in the NFL. Or does this mean, well, maybe Patrick Queen wasn't getting the job done? I don't know. I think Patrick Queen is a very good middle linebacker. It's a B+ pick for me. Pick number 29. This was a weird one. These next several picks are just weird ones, and in hindsight, they are not looked upon favorably. Let me just give you a little preview. We go F, D-, D-, D+. So strap yourselves in, folks. Pick number 29, Tennessee goes with Isaiah Wilson, tackle out of Georgia. If you're not a big, devout football fan, you probably have no clue who this guy is, and that's because he's played 1 game in his entire career. He didn't want to play football, pretty much. I don't know if he just decided, you know what, I'm just going to play football because I'm a gigantic dude who is good at it. I mean, his height, 6'6", 350, I mean, that's fantastic. And playing at Georgia, part of a Georgia offensive line, Georgia just breeds stud offensive linemen. He just didn't want to play football, man, and eventually the Titans let him go, and the Dolphins picked him up just to let him go again because he just didn't show up. Didn't show up to meetings. When he showed up, he didn't care. He just was mentally not into football. And when you use the 29th pick, now, like I said earlier, the tackles after this weren't great, but God, at least they're still in the freaking league. This guy's long gone. This is actually, this is an F- grade because you just wasted a pick. I mean, they may as well have just wiped their ass with the paper that had the 29th pick, handed that to Goodell, and said, we're good. Moving on. Pick number 30, the Miami Dolphins back on the clock for the 3rd time this first round. Select Noah Igbenogany, cornerback out of Auburn. This is a D-. The only reason it's not an F is because when they drafted him, he was only 20 years old. So he's only 23 now after 3 years in the league, which is as young as a lot of the players coming out in this upcoming draft. So he's got youth. But I can't really sit here and tell you that he has a whole lot of experience because he just he's either benched, healthy scratch. I mean, he's played in 32 games in 3 seasons. This past year, he played in 9 and started twice. He just never sees the field, and it's so disappointing because he's so athletic. Yeah, he's 23 years old, man. He won't turn 24 until the end of November this upcoming season. He's so young still, and he just can't put it together. He's had good, he was drafted by Brian Flores. Brian Flores, for all of his flaws as a head coach, knows the defensive side of the ball, and he wanted this kid, and he just hasn't panned out at all. I'll never forget the first times watching him was that following year he had to go one-on-one with Stephon Diggs because X and Byron Jones were both out. And Stephon Diggs just made him look like a baby back bitch, man. It was so sad. I was like, oh, maybe this kid will be good. Maybe this is his chance to show, hey, I'm the next top corner in this league. I have a first-round pick. I'm going to be a stud. Watch me shut down Stephon Diggs. And Stephon Diggs said, and just roasted him all game, and it was hard to watch. But again, he's young, and he had the game-winning interception against Pittsburgh Steelers at the game I was at, so he gets a little bump for that. Rest in peace, Jeff Gladney, December 12th, 1996 to May 30th, 2022. Round is Kansas City at pick number 32. Go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back out of LSU. Originally, I had written down C-, and then I was looking a little bit more into the 2020 draft and the later rounds, because I really did all my research, obviously, on the first rounds, because that's the video we're doing. But the very next picks, 33, was T. Higgins. Right after that, Michael Pittman Jr. Right after that, DeAndre Swift. A little bit further down the board at pick 41, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, man, and Chase Claypool at 49 is solid, and Cam Akers at 52 would give you what Edwards-Hilaire's given you, and J.K. Dobbins at 55. I mean, man, talk about a reach here, and you didn't even draft the right guy. You didn't even draft the right dude. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round rookie, out-snapped him by a ton this season, and Jerick McKinnon passed him up on the depth chart too. I mean, he's just not getting the snaps. He's not getting the touches. Yeah, he can be as talented as he wants, but he's not on the field, and they are continually passing over him. It's a D+. I don't remember what I said earlier because I wrote down C-. It's a D+ pick because he just gets benched, and he doesn't get played, and they had so many better options on the board. Yeah, looking at, man, this second round was loaded, you guys. This second round of the 2020 draft was absolutely loaded. I was hoping that when I looked at this that the Noah Igbenogany pick wouldn't look so bad because maybe there weren't any great corners taken after him. And then you get to pick 50 and there's Jalen Johnson. You're like, damn, that's a solid pick. And then you go one lower and it's Trevon Diggs, who led the league in interceptions a year ago, has 17 in his career. It's like, okay, yeah, we really screwed up there. Nice job, guys. Really crushed the second half of this draft here. But Antonio Gibson even went, pick number 66. Man, this draft was so loaded. And to come out of there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and then watch T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and DeAndre Swift all go the next 3 picks, it's like, that's a miss. That's a big old miss. But that's my final round of grading for the 2020 NFL Draft. This was an awesome draft. We're 3 years into it, and there's some all-pro talent in this draft. One of the best quarterbacks, one of the best wide receiver in the NFL was in here. I mean, this was an awesome, awesome draft. And it's just getting better, and it gets better the further into it you look. It was so, so deep. I mean, I didn't even mention the fact that, what's that quarterback from Oklahoma plays for? Oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts was taken in the second round of this draft at pick number 53. It's a very, very deep draft class is what I'm getting at. And some teams really screwed up the first round. Miami, Vegas. I can't even really say Miami over Vegas because Vegas had 2, and at least the Dolphins have maybe something in Tua. And Austin Jackson, they're going to keep trotting out there no matter how much of a turnstile he is. But, man, to have the Raiders with 2 first-round picks and both of them having been arrested, oh, my God, horrible, horrible. But thanks, guys, for checking in on this one, and I appreciate all the support from the first part. If you guys want me to do more draft classes, let me know. I'm happy to go kind of back a few years. I don't want to go too far back. Maybe to do like a 2019 grade, 2021 even, although it may be a little premature. But I want to give these guys at least a couple seasons to get their feet underneath them in the NFL and learn what they're doing before I really truly grade these picks. Guys, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all in the next one.